Hi, welcome back. I'm Chris Hitchens, your college admissions coach, member of the Bethel Park Chamber of Commerce. In this segment, we are going to do viewer mailbag. I have a number of questions I love that just came in recently, and we're also going to talk about EFC, your estimated financial contribution, which is going to be step one in the college application process. Also, Heather Campbell from Club Z Tutoring is going to join us. All right, so last segment we talked about the steps parents can follow to get this college application process started. I hear all the time. Parents will come to me and say, my daughter's in 9th grade, son's in 10th grade, 11th grade. I just don't know where to start. All right, so here's tangible process, tangible steps to take. And this is the first one. Calculate your EFC. All right, what's that? Well, your EFC is linked to the FAFSA form. I know the FAFSA doesn't open until October 1st of your student's senior year of high school, but you can use the FAFSA forecaster. The FAFSA forecaster will give you a general idea of how much the government expects you to contribute to your child's college education each year. Now, this is a great segment. It's really great for parents who have younger students. This is wonderful for kids in middle school, 9th grade, 10th grade, because there's ways to lower your EFC. So your government may say, we think you can contribute $20,000 a year to your child's college education. Government may say, we think because of your income and assets, you can only contribute $1,000 a year to your child's college education. So the lower the number, the better. All right, so what's the EFC in the FAFSA forecaster? Expected financial contribution, or estimated financial contribution. So you go to the FAFSA forecaster and it considers the parents' assets and income. It also considers how many people are in the family and how many people in the family are actually in college. And it will register a number, and it'll tell you that we believe that your family can contribute this amount per year for the child's college education. Now, when you have more students in college, your FAFSA or your EFC number will go down, which is good. It makes sense. And you do have to do your FAFSA each year. Financial situations change in families. There may be a new job, there may be a loss of job, there may be health issues, a death in the family. So I advise all families, even if you think you have too high of an income, too many assets, that you're not going to receive financial aid, I advise all families to complete the EFC, complete the FAFSA and get an EFC. Your family situation can change. There may be scholarships or loan programs you're not aware of that requires the FAFSA form. Also, you may want to appeal your financial aid award, and they're going to have that FAFSA form and that EFC calculated. All right, so what can we do to help our EFC? Now, I'm not a financial planner. I'm not a financial advisor. I believe it is well worth these families, kids in elementary school, middle school, early high school, if you don't have a financial planner, to talk to a financial planner. Many times a financial planner will meet with you for free. In the first session, I can recommend financial planners. If you want to contact me, that's perfectly fine. But if you're not involved in a 529 plan, if you don't have relatives, grandparents, aunts and uncles, friends and neighbors involved in a 529 plan to benefit your student, that's a great place to start. Also, your EFC is calculated by your income and assets. So, few ways to lower your EFC is if you're a business owner and you can defer a salary. Now, here's the issue. If your child's a junior or senior, upcoming senior, it may be a little bit late to make any adjustments in your financial situation to affect your EFC. The FAFSA uses information from what's called prior tax returns, which means 2 years prior to when the student is going to be a college freshman. So we're really looking at their tax returns from when the student is a sophomore, junior. So it's pays great dividends, so start the process early. When you fill out your FAFSA, they consider the amount of money you have in your accounts at that point. So if you have a large sum of cash or liquid assets, you may want to consider paying off a mortgage because they don't consider home equity when calculating your EFC. You may want to consider home improvements. You may want to consider paying off credit cards. If the child has a large sum of money in their accounts, maybe they've been working for a while, maybe they got an inheritance or a lot of gifts from friends and relatives, you may want to consider moving that money around. Now, these are ethical ways to lower this estimated financial contribution. And this is why a financial planner is important. You may think, well, you know what, I really can't afford a financial planner. I don't know one. I think in the long run, you'll see a benefit to having a financial planner. I'd say you do have a great deal of cash or assets. It is possible for families to gift that money away. So one thing you could consider, and you talk to your financial planner about, let's say you have a large sum of money, you gift it to the grandparents. The grandparents then take that money, open a 529 plan in your child's name. Then after your child is a junior in college, they return that money and contribute to the child's college education. This is just one way, one thing to consider or topic to bring up when you talk to your financial planner. So the first thing I would do if I was a parent, whether it's middle school, high school, I would go to the FAFSA forecaster, you just Google FAFSA forecaster, and get an estimate, get an idea of what your financial contribution is expected to be. And then consider talking to a financial planner. All right, that's all the time we have for EFC this week, but that's really the first step. In the next session, the next show, we're going to talk about the second step, the net price calculator. Coming up will be Heather Campbell from Clumsy Tutoring, and then we're going to do viewer mailbag. Hi, welcome back to your college admissions coach. My name is Chris Hitchens, member of Bethel Park Chamber of Commerce, and in this segment we're joined by Heather Campbell from Clumsy Tutoring.
Hi,
welcome,
Chris.
Heather.
Thank you.
Nice
Glad
to
to be back.
I love when you're here. Definitely add the flavor. So first segment we talked about EFC, your estimated financial contribution. In this segment we're going to talk about
SAT and ACT tips and strategies.
Beautiful, because I know there's an SAT coming up early June.
Yeah.
So there's one we should be prepping.
Definitely.
I know some students who aren't.
Right, definitely. So this will hopefully help the students get a good idea of different strategies they can use for the test. It's not learning the material, it's actually learning how to take the test.
Exactly. It's like training for a marathon.
Yep.
And practice, truly.
Yeah, absolutely. So these are 5 proven tips that we recommend to all of our families, whether they're receiving tutoring through us or just doing something like the library things that you do.
Great.
So the first one is pay special attention to the introductory and transitional words in the reading comprehension especially. So looking at those words like but, however, yet, even though, because they are extremely important in forming the question. And sometimes the students can miss the answer because they're not paying attention to those transitional words.
And this is one place where I can truly see practice playing a big part in success.
Absolutely, because you're nervous and you're going to skip over those little words, but they are important words in those phrases and the way the question is asked. The second is to eliminate the obvious wrong answer.
Okay.
Pretty much in multiple choice, there's always one answer that's the obvious wrong answer. So you eliminate that one, then you're left with 2 or 3 answers instead of 4 that's looking at you. And then it helps you to really kind of hone in and find that right answer. The third tip we talk about on the SAT, figures are accurate to scale when they show 2 images that look the same, unless it's otherwise stated, they are the same, either length or things like that or the angles. On the ACT, figures are not necessarily accurate. So it really depends on which test you're taking, whether or not you can assume that.
Right.
So it's good to practice that as well.
So these are two totally different approaches to measure college readiness.
Yeah,
the SAT
absolutely.
and the ACT. And some students are better at the SAT than the ACT, and some students are better at the ACT. So
Right.
this one thing would be, wonderful to determine before you take either one.
For sure. And there's time differences and things like that. So it is important to take a practice test of
Yes.
both to get an idea of which one. And ACT has science in it, which the SAT doesn't. So if you are strong in science, I highly recommend looking at the ACT to see if that's going to bolster your score.
That's a good idea.
Number 4 is plug in the answer choices. Believe it or not, when you're answering the question, if you use the answers while you're trying to answer the question, it will make sense or not make sense.
Okay. I've
So
never thought of that.
plugging those into, if there's a blank or vocabulary, plugging them into that sentence that's using the vocabulary and things like that will help you determine if that makes sense. Simple things.
I see a lot of kids taking the ACT, they're mumbling to themselves and see if this makes sense. They
Yeah,
just can't
absolutely.
work it out in their head.
Yeah, because sometimes you just have to hear it, you know, and obviously you can't be saying it out loud.
Right.
But in your head, you can read the sentence with that answer choice and see if that makes sense. Also, if you're doing the math section, a lot of times the answers are written smaller to greater answers. So like 0 to 4, 6.
Right.
Start with C and see if the answer makes sense and if you will be able to determine if you need to go smaller or higher.
Gotcha. Now that makes perfect sense. Start in the middle and work your way outwards.
Yes. And then you can decide which way you need to go. I do that with my 3rd grader all the time with her math.
That's a beautiful strategy because anything like that is going to save you time, and then that's going to save you some anxiety.
Absolutely. And then I'll always start with the easiest and moderate questions. Go through the test and answer those questions that you can answer quickly, and then go back through the test and find those difficult ones that are going to take you more time, because the more answers, the better your score. And it's not graded whether the question was difficult or easy. There's no reason
Wonderful tip.
to do the hard ones only. So the more answers that you can get, and then if there's time remaining, go back to those hard ones that are going to take you more time to work out and start answering those.
That's great.
So it's a strategy,
I love
that
that.
a lot of people don't think of. But one thing that parents can sometimes struggle with is if the child already has test anxiety.
Yes.
And those standardized tests
hear that a
will
great deal.
trigger that great deal, because you don't study for the test like you do a quiz or an exam at school. It's already testing the knowledge that you should already have.
Yes.
So for students who already have test anxiety, there's a couple of tips that can really help them out. A lot of this is on the parents or the guardians. You need to keep a positive attitude. I just did this with my 3rd grader.
Yes, I love that.
She took the PSSAs and she was nervous. It's her first standardized test. And I said, "You're going to do great. It's going to be
Yes.
super easy. You're going to be fine." And her teachers also went along with that kind of mentality and told them how great they were going to do. And they've already been learning the material and just put it on the paper that way. And so you're starting to reduce that anxiety just by keeping a positive attitude.
Yep.
Similar to sports, seeing the end in sight and envisioning getting the goal,
Love that.
or
visualization skills and techniques.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And plus, there's no benefit of being negative.
Absolutely.
Gotta nail it. Yes.
So helping to teach the student early in elementary and middle school and high school and taking those tests and how to prepare for them is going to help decrease their anxiety when they're taking tests like that, because they're going to have practiced. As we've said, practice makes perfect. Also doing the practice exams, letting the student know that they can take this test more than once, so it doesn't feel like a one
I
and
love
done
that.
and
Yeah.
this is it.
That's a great idea.
Is huge for test anxiety, because they don't have to feel like, well, if I don't do well this time, it's
Yes.
done, it's over.
I recommend-
having that option.
Yeah, I recommend my students, and it sounds strange to some families, take the SAT or the ACT 3 times.
I have had students take it in 8th grade. to start
Okay.
getting familiar with it. And obviously, they're probably not going to take that score with them.
Right.
But they've started as early as 8th grade just to get a feel for the test and what it is.
And get through that journey and the rigor just to take the test for sitting there for the SAT for 3 hours.
Absolutely.
Three
Absolutely.
times is not out of the question.
Finding supportive, experienced one-on-one people that will help you with that is great. So whether it's you or me or somebody else in the family,
Right.
working one-on-one is a huge benefit because it increases the kids' confidence. We see an improvement in grades when we work with the kids one-on-one, but their confidence is kind of the byproduct of working and getting more comfortable and seeing that improvement.
Wonderful.
So,
All right.
all right.
Those are all awesome. Fantastic. I'm sure everyone appreciates those. We're out of time for SAT, ACT, test prep, and test anxiety. I do want to thank Heather for being here this week. Fantastic. And we'll
Thank
be
you
back
so much
in
for having me.
Every time you're here, it makes everything great. I appreciate it. Again, Chris Hitchens, College Admissions Solutions, your college admissions coach, member of the Bethel Park Chamber of Commerce. Heather Campbell, Club Z Tutoring, located in South Park, working all through the South Hills. And come on back, we're going to do viewer mailbag. All right, I want to thank Heather Campbell for being here, and now we're going to do viewer mailbag. Again, I'm Chris Hitchens, your college admissions coach, member of Bethel Park Chamber of Commerce. So this question comes from JL. My daughter is in 9th grade. I'm sending this message to see if I can get ahead of the game. Can you tell me what EFC is and how it works? She goes, sorry, I'm just a beginner. EFC is your expected or estimated family contribution. We did the whole first segment on EFC, so this is a timely question. Thanks, JL. This comes from Katie. My son's tax software has designated his scholarship as taxable income when my Google searches say when going toward a degree it should not be. Has something changed? If the scholarship is covering tuition, it is not taxable income. If it is covering room and board or it's in excess of tuition, it can be taxable income. Now, this is a time when you want to talk to a financial planner or a tax expert. From Mary Ellen. What do you think of Khan Academy for SAT prep? Thank you in advance. All right, this is what I think of Khan Academy. Khan Academy can be an excellent tool for SAT prep. One thing, it's free. Excuse me. The other thing, it is very effective. I have looked at Khan Academy for a number of years. I've read a lot about Khan Academy and I've talked to people who have used Khan Academy. I have no affiliation with Khan Academy. Khan Academy is a strong recommendation. Now, the downside to Khan Academy is this, as with any other online program, the student must be motivated to use Khan Academy. So, Khan Academy is great. It'll take the student's PSAT scores, input them. It will design a course of study for the SAT based on their strength and more importantly, their weaknesses. So I highly recommend Khan Academy, and I know some schools in the area use Khan Academy, but again, the most important thing is the student using Khan Academy on a regular basis. And I'm talking, honestly, you could be 15, 20 minutes, 4 or 5 times a week. If you have enough weeks, it'll make a big difference, but the student has to be motivated, and sometimes this is where the parent has to step in. So yes, I do recommend Khan Academy. Now, there are people who, people I've run into recently who want more of a one-on-one, in-person type SAT experience, and that's where Heather from Club Z would step in. Stephanie, heading Student Loan Interest Payments. A week ago, someone suggested that we would pay the student loan interest, about $10 for the first semester, $20 for the second semester to keep the interest from piling up. What do you think of this strategy? I think a great deal of this strategy. I think it's a wonderful strategy. So we all know the benefits and the detriments of compound interest. So we know the benefits of investing early and letting our money grow, but the same thing when we take out these types of loans. So if you have a student loan that is unsubsidized, which means the interest is accruing As soon as the loan is dispersed, making the interest payments can save you a great deal of money at the end, and the interest payments are very, very small. So yes, the first semester, the interest payments may be $10. The second semester, maybe $20. Of course, that's going to rise, but at the end of the 4-year process, and only about a third of the kids graduate in 4 years anyway, so it may be a 5 or 6 year process, which I'm not in agreement with. You'll probably save, you can say anywhere from $7,000 to $10,000 saved. $7,000 to $10,000. So if somebody knocked on your door and said, I have $7,000 to $10,000 to give you for your child's education, I would accept that $10,000 in the right circumstances. But yes, paying the interest from the beginning can definitely pay off. It's a good idea. A lot of my daughter's friends are talking about using a college counseling service for the applications and their essays. Is this a common thing to do? My daughter was just planning on writing her own statement. This is from Cheryl Lynn. Planning on writing her own statement, but she thinks she'll be at a disadvantage if many others get professional help. All right, so this is a family decision. Depending on the college, so here's what I would recommend. There are ways to determine what importance the college places. We're going to focus on the college essay. What importance the college places on the college essay? If you look on a college website and find what's called the common data set on each college website, and every college website is different, and sometimes it's not easy to find. It's called the common data set. You can determine what importance the college places on the college essay. College essays are not English literature papers. There's a style to a college essay. And if my son or daughter decided their college essay was, I went to Haiti with my church youth group and rebuilt orphanages, I would say that's fantastic, and you need to put that on your college essay, or excuse me, on your college application. That's not your college essay. Why not? Because they're going to get college administrators, college admissions officers are going to get thousands of that exact same essay. That's not my college essay. That's a wonderful thing to put on your application somewhere, but that's not my essay. In fact, I am doing a college essay workshop in May at the Baldwin Library. There's no cost, so if you're interested in that, you can contact me or the Baldwin Library. But it's a 3-hour workshop. Students walk out with 2 versions of a college essay and 2 different ways they can self-edit their college essay. We do a lot of brainstorming. It's a different animal altogether. This is from Emily. Have you run into this issue before? My son learned after committing to his college of choice, he won a $5,000 a year scholarship from, I'm going to say this, outside organization. After he declared this $5,000 scholarship, the financial aid department from the college turned around and reduced his need aid by that same amount. So he went to all this trouble to apply for these scholarships, won one for $5,000, but now is being penalized. Is this a common situation? Yes, Emily, this is a very common situation. It's a very frustrating situation. It's a situation I don't agree with, and I don't know how the colleges can in good conscience do this, but yes. So if a student wins an outside scholarship and they're receiving need-based financial aid from the college, most of the time the college will lower that need-based financial aid offer by that exact same amount, which sounds like a horrible thing to do, and I tell people this and they don't believe me. So how do you avoid this? Well, one thing I would do is I would call the college financial aid office, and they expect calls like this, so you're not bothering them. Ask them if scholarships are stackable. The term is stackable, which means when the student wins scholarships, their need-based financial aid is not lowered. Most of the time, they're not going to be stackable, and they are going to reduce your need-based financial aid by the amount of money you won or you were awarded on that outside scholarship, which I'm not in agreement with. That's all the time we have for viewer mailbag. Keep the questions coming in. Again, this is Chris Hitchens, College Admissions Coach, member of the Bethel Park Chamber of Commerce. Next show, we're going to be talking about net price calculators, ones that you can trust and ones you can't trust. And we'll talk about your financial need. Join us then. Bye.